with big guys, probably talked about street fights and stuff like that already, so that's been pretty cool. So that's a tough guy to follow. Excited to be here. Very fired up about the opportunity that was provided through Coach Shelton and what we can do here and everything going forward. So, guys, fire away. Just start firing questions at me. Let's go.
Craig, you mentioned Todd and just his focus on toughness. That's obviously been something that people have talked about increasing here. How much has that been a focus, especially for this new defensive staff?
We haven't put any pads on yet, so I mean, toughness is to a certain point. Attention to detail, accountability in little things, making sure we're taking care of our business classroom-wise, being on time, getting after the weight room and doing those type of things. Double A's done a hell of a job down there with those guys and the entire staff. Coach Shelton does a great job getting everybody in line and going the same direction. So you can start to build those thought processes of toughness and accountability that way. But until we put pads on the 14th and subsequently from there, then we'll talk about real toughness from that point going forward.
It seems like that is a focus of Todd's, though, especially that's kind of.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, run and hit. I mean, if your simple mantra, what we do, run and hit. I think I caught the tail end of what he was talking about. As far as we're going to have mistakes as far as assignment, responsibility, things like that. Stick your foot in the ground and go run through somebody's face. That's what this game's all about. That's being the most physical team on the field, enforcing your will upon an opponent. It's how you win football games. You stop the run the football, and hit people. That wins football games.
What is like your working relationship with Todd? Why is it that you guys have decided to work together so many times?
We were very fortunate when we came together at the University of Houston. We did not know each other at all. We've got very similar philosophies of attacking style of defense, multiple styles of defense. We put a high premium, like we talked about, on being physical and those type of things. Some would say we're kind of off a little bit, which may make us bond a little bit tighter. But he's like a brother to me, and value his friendship. And more importantly, he's a damn good ball coach, and excited to be with him again.
Coach, you guys, I brought this up with Coach Orlando. You guys turned recruiting around at the University of Texas when you guys got there. What is the approach that you guys are bringing here to get that done at USC?
I don't, per se, the biggest part of recruiting is relationships, and recruiting is like shaving. If you don't do it daily, you look like crap. It's an ongoing daily deal. You can't just rely on the brand to go out and recruit. You've got to build relationships, and it takes a village. It's through families, coaches, associations, who's the champion for that young man in their home, outside the home, all that stuff, establishing that and recruiting as a staff. It's not just one guy recruiting a certain player. It's 4 to 5 to 6 guys being in constant communication with that young man and his family to where he feels like USC is recruiting me, not just a particular guy. So at previous places we've been, and even before Texas, we had attacked it that way and had success with it.
You have the kind of guys that you can play the way you guys want to play now that you've got a sense of who your roster is and what they look like and all that.
We'll find out after you put some pads on. Have a better answer for that in June, July, and more importantly, August and September. But excited about the young men that are here. One thing that kind of drew my eye is I was game planning for Utah, getting ready to play in the Alamo Bowl. There was crossover reference of watching these guys play against Utah on that side of the ball, and I saw guys that could run and that flew around the ball, and a lot of really good football players out there. So excited to see what we can do once we get on the field.
How would you describe the role of the safety in this defensive scheme, especially how?
It's really fun. It's really fun. I mean, they're sort of the quarterbacks of the defense. We make all the checks, we make alignments, we check coverages, we check blitzes. Coach Orlando uses those guys in a bunch of different ways. So we're not so much as just hey, we're just a quarters team, hey, we're just a one high team. We're going to spin you, rotate you, be extremely multiple with the safeties. It's an NFL-based scheme in that regard. It looks extremely complicated for opponent offenses. It's really not. once we learn and teach these simple aspects of what we do. But it's a real fun system to play in, because one play you could be in the post, the next play could be blitzing the A gap. So it's a fun system to play in.
How was your relationship with Dante, and how are you guys going to kind of split the duties there?
Been awesome. I mean, I've clicked with that guy from the moment he walked in the door. I've known him through recruiting circles and stuff like that, and those type of deals. So he'll work with the corners, I'll work with the safeties, and we'll work together with everything as we with Vic and Coach O and doing what we do. Coach Orlando does a hell of a job of a staff input, staff game planning, staff putting stuff together, and then he does a remarkable job on game day of calling it. He's one of the best play callers in football, period, not just college football. So he does a hell of a job with that.
How about like nickel backs or dime backs, if you use those? How'd you kind of split those up with Dante?
Yeah, based on what young man is playing that position, as what room they come out of, we'll work from there.
Talking about recruiting, is there any chance you might be able to recruit a guy from Texas who happens to be here now?
Well, obviously,
defense?
we're gonna go find the best we can. I mean, there's tons of great football players down here, and
Talking about one who's already here.
one who's already here. North Shore
Brew.
Mustang.
Yeah, Brooke.
Brew would be a hell of a defensive player, but I don't think we're gonna get to. I don't think they'll let us have him.
You don't think so?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay.
He'd be a hell of a defensive football player, though.
What did you see from him last spring at Texas?
Big, physical, and jumped in the fight. We had a bunch of DBs that were part of a historic signing class that were now coming in their second year. Here comes 5-star Brew jumping in, so they all want to take a shot at him and get after him. He didn't back down. That was impressive for a young guy that's coming in as a true freshman during spring ball. So that was what most impressed me, is those guys were taking shots at him every day, just kind of tested his water, for lack of a better term, and he got after it and competed. So fired up about that.
You've served as special teams coordinator in your past several positions. Like, how does just focusing on safeties this time around kind of free you up to, I guess, dive deeper into the weeds there?
Well, it's obviously a little bit easier because you're not doing two different tasks. You're not serving two masters, as it speaks, and can spend more time doing that. And you know, you're going to get the work done no matter what's asked of you. So what's different? You know, not much other than just the time that you can spend a little bit more on opponents and things like that. And recruiting, most importantly, is where you can spend more time. So that'd be the biggest difference.
Obviously, you were familiar with Coach Orlando, but in terms of Coach Shelton, did you know him at all, or what was your impression, I guess, upon meeting him?
He has been amazing through the job process and Coach Shelton reaching out, doing research, and I knew of him through the coaching fraternity before that. But when you start calling around and asking about him, every single response I got from everybody I talked to was what an unbelievable person he is, how great he is with his players. And everything's been 100% true. When we came up to visit, and you could feel in 5 minutes, this is a real guy. This guy cares about his players. This guy has a plan. This guy has a system. This guy's a damn good ball coach. And that's not like that everywhere in this profession. So, I mean, he not only is he a good dude as far as a ball coach, he may be one of the best people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. As you guys get to know me, I pretty much tell you what I think. And he's a real dude.
How would you describe your ideal safety for this system?
Depends kind of what role we ask him to play. We are adaptable, and for what a young man's skill set is, to where we can put him to do what he does best. I mean, if I had to clone a guy, we'd throw 5 Marvell Tells out there. I mean, it's you know, this system works well because we can play upon young men's strengths and hide their deficiencies as we develop those to not make them deficient anymore. We like speed, we like length, and we like guys that like to hit people. So if you had to say what's big, fast, and guys that strike.
We always go ahead.
Ideally, what's the identity of this defense?
Attacking and multiple.
So you, Todd Orlando, Mike Jinks, Graham Harrell, John David Baker, Texas guys. How hard are you guys, they say put a wall around Southern California, but there's not always the guys in Southern California that will fill your needs. How hard are you guys gonna hit Texas, recruiting wise?
We're hitting California first. Obviously, that's our backyard. That's our bread and butter. And then we'll go wherever we need to go outside to supplement what we need. You know, we've got a really good group of guys that have really deep ties out here. And we hired some of those guys as well. But at the end of the day, recruiting is relationships and people at where you're at. I mean, when I was at the previous school I was at, I signed a safety from Mayfair High School out here. And I didn't know a soul out here. But it was just relationships and getting to know that young man and his family and those type of deals. So, you know, as far as where we're gonna hit where we're gonna find the best players. But obviously our number one focus as we go forward is starting here.
From your perspective with Texas's defense last year, where do you think the breakdowns were generally, or where did things maybe get derailed?
I'm not there anymore. I'm a USC Trojan, so that's in the past.
How's the practice planning gonna go? I mean, for those of us who watched some practice, there wasn't a lot of, you know, running up and striking people, not a lot of, you know, physicality and pride. How's that gonna change, do you think, with this group on defense?
The NCAA gives you a certain amount of periods and times and days where you can do that, and we'll maximize that time. We're not just gonna be blood on the moon every day. We're gonna be smart. But you get good at tackling by tackling. You get good at playing football by playing football. The Underwear Olympics do not win football games. 7-on-7 does not win football games. Running and hitting wins football games.
Having faced Coach Snyder on the other side of special teams, what should we expect from him? You know, how difficult was it to prepare when you guys were playing them?
He is the most detailed and prepared coach in collegiate football and special teams. You're not going to find a weakness in scheme or technique playing against that guy. Your guys are going to have to physically whip and win a one-on-one to beat him. He is extremely detailed. He's extremely experienced. He's got a ton of experience, and does a great job of getting guys to play extremely hard and buy into their roles. So when playing against those guys, we have a lot of conversations now back and forth of you know, he'll ask, well, where did you see our weakness? And I said we didn't. You know, he saw strengths and a lot of things he did, but he's damn good at what he does. I'm fired up. We've got him here. Got a Marlins cap on, dude? What's the deal?
I have about 200 hats, so.
Okay.
Different one every time.
Okay. Who's your favorite team?
I'm from outside Atlanta, so a lot of Atlanta hats as well.
Okay. Just checking. Big baseball guy, just asking.
Any other questions for Coach?
Outstanding.
Thanks, sir.
Take care of the donuts back there. There's still some donuts back there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all